Waiting for everyone to join. No problem.
Hey.
Hey, we are live. So, good afternoon, everybody. Alex Chisnell here from the Festival of Startups, and I'm joined by Rowena Bird, co-founder of LUSH. How are you doing, Ro?
Yeah, really well, thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you kicking things off for us. We've got 2 weeks of non-stop live webinars with entrepreneurs, business owners like yourself, experts in their field. So, yeah, thank you so much for jumping on. Really appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure to be here. It's nice to make a change from all the Hangouts, actually.
Yeah.
Different Hangout.
That's right. Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, Zooms. I know. Another platform. So we're here on Air Meets Everybody.
Background. We've now got backgrounds, so that's much more fun.
Yeah, you've got a nicer background than I have, actually, by the looks of things at the moment. So you're in the New Forest, and I'm in Poole, so we're not a million miles away from each other. And this time last year, pretty much, we were in a live event environment in Bournemouth at the Hilton doing a live event. And, you know, live events are no more at the moment. We're meant to be at Olympia in April, and then the NEC and Birmingham in October. But until they come back, we thought we would throw this virtual online event for everybody instead. So, yeah, delighted to host this. I'm Alex Chisnell. I'm content director here for the Festival of Enterprise. This is our first 2-week virtual event that we've done. I also host a #1 rated podcast, Screw It, Just Do It, and former Virgin startup delivery partner and mentor. So I've got Ro with me now. She is one of the 6 co-founders of cruelty-free cosmetics brand LUSH, and she's going to share the story, how they went from a single shop on Poole High Street to over 900 retail outlets worldwide and $1 billion in turnover. And I believe this year, 25 years old. Am I right?
Yeah, we were 25. I did a party in a box. So and posted them around, and then we all opened them on a Google Hangout and played games. It's amazing what you can do in a box. We're doing a Christmas in a box this year as well.
Are you? Brilliant. Wow. Well, yeah, congratulations on 25 years. How do you go from, I mean, how long have you got? How do you go from one shop to 900 and $1 billion turnover?
It's a lovely organic growth. And that's what I would recommend to anybody. It's like, don't be in a rush to make something huge, because you haven't got time to then work out all the complexities that's within a business. And so doing it step by step is definitely the way to do it.
Nice. And when you were, you know, a young girl or a teenager growing up, can you recall what you wanted out of life then, what you pictured life to be?
Yeah, I wanted to be a princess.
I love it. No, you have it, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what I wanted. I wanted to travel. I used to love traveling, even if it was only across the field to the woods at the back. I just wanted excitement, I think. And I definitely have that in spades. So, yeah, life is never boring. It's always very interesting. And I used to make up. I used to ask people for their bits of makeup, and I used to make perfume from bluebells in the woods and things like that. So I suppose it was inevitable I'd end up going where I did. I became a beauty therapist. I can remember going to a careers officer, and I probably had coloured hair at the time then as well. And I definitely had coloured tights, and all my nails would have been different colours and things. And he took one look at me and he said, "Why don't you be a beauty therapist?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what that is." And he explained it to me. And I went, "What, is that a proper job?" And I was like, "Oh, well, if that's a proper job, I could do that." And luckily I had enough qualifications to get into college. And so that's where it started. And then 40 years ago next year, actually, I came down to Poole to work with Mark and Mo and Liz, and been there ever since. Yeah.
Wow. Where were you before then? Where were you based before you moved here?
Up in Northamptonshire.
Okay. Yeah. My best friend is just moving over from Dubai and moving to Northamptonshire for the first time. So.
Oh, wow. They're going to notice a temperature difference.
They are indeed.
The villages are much prettier. Yeah.
And do you ever, so 25 years, obviously a landmark, which you probably would have celebrated in different circumstances in any other year. But is it giving you that time to reflect back and take stock, you know, maybe give yourselves a pat on the back, or whatever you decided to do, have a party in a box?
We're not very good at patting ourselves on the back. We're very mindful of pride goes before a fall. So, you know, it's always a bit sort of like, let's just keep looking forward. And I think that what this has allowed us to do is actually look backward as well, which is something that it's not our strongest point, I don't think. We do learn from our lessons, but we don't often take stock of where we are now, because we're always moving forward. And this actually we've had to take stock of where we are now.
Yeah.
Because obviously business just completely closed down. So luckily we had mail order. So that was, but even that closed down for a little bit. So, yeah. Well, we had to, because you have to realign everything so that you're COVID safe. So everybody feels safe to come in, and that there's spacing between them. We have everything in place to make sure that, you know, everywhere people are going to work was as safe as possible. That obviously has to go all the way through the way we manufacture, right the way to packing the parcels. So yeah, we closed down for about 3 or 4 weeks, because we couldn't have dealt with all the orders coming in. In a safe environment, and safety obviously has to come first.
And how long had you had mail order up to this point then, before?
Oh, we've always had mail order, because the business we had was a mail order business, cosmetics to go. So we were right on with mail order right from the very start.
Yeah, I was interested. A friend of mine's a director at Primark, and I just always thought that they literally don't have anything other than physical shops. And I was like, you know, when are you going to be launching your online business? And he's like, we're not. And I'm like, really? Yeah. I just thought,
they're still not.
No. I think they've gone for, you know, multi-billion pound reinvestment rounds, but. Yeah, I mean, we're second lockdown, aren't we? And you think if it happens again in the new year or whatever, unbelievable. But for you then, and then the other founders, Mark, etc., when you did, you know, take stock of 25 years, were there any particular highlights that sprung to mind for you? Because there must have been a hell of a lot.
I don't know. I mean, I think we celebrate our highlights all the way through. I don't know, not. I mean, you know, having every shop's a highlight for us. You know, when we started opening the big stores, like the first one on Oxford Street, and then the mega big one in Liverpool, taking that major step forward, and then a big one in Tokyo as well. Yeah. So taking those steps forward was a big leap of faith. When you think about where we started, our first shop was in Poole High Street, so it's the wrong end of the high street for a start off, and it was quite small. You know, when the location is everything, that was not the best location, but we owned the building, so it was fine. And then our first little shop in London was in Covent Garden, and it was Unit 7, and it's tiny. Most people have bigger kitchens, so it was, you know, going from there, and then suddenly we're opening 3 floors on Oxford Street. Well, not suddenly, you know, 20 years later, we're opening 3 floors on Oxford Street. And then I think we've got 4 or 5 floors in Liverpool. So it's, you know, that was sort of like, whoa, look at us. You know, there's, and every time you invent a new product and you've got a patent on it, the highlight, where highlights go right down to people writing to us and saying, your products have made such a difference to my skin or the way I sleep or my hair or anything like that. To us, that's the major highlight, because actually because that's what we've set out to do, is make a product for you that is actually going to do something. It's not just about us making money out of it. It's about making something that's effective. So if we've made something effective and you've bought it and you've used it and it's made a difference to you, the highlights don't come bigger than that, really. Yeah,
I remember chatting to Juliet Barrett, the co-founder of Grenade, who've, you know, done incredibly well in the last decade, and she said to me, for her, it was being able to see her staff like buy their first car or put their first down payment on a mortgage, and I was like, wow, that's a lovely way of looking at things, you know, rather than, yes, we could become the next $1 billion brand or something like that, but it's that kind of human element to it.
And it is, and it's really true, because, you know, we feel very much like a family business. You know, we've all worked together, as they've for 40 years, and then Mark and Mo's family are coming through the business as well. Now they're the next generation, so that's lovely. And so it's almost like there's two families, and then we have families within families. So you've got all sorts of family connections within. So we've got marriages, we've got mums and daughters, dads and sons. You know, we've got everything going on in the business, and that's really lovely. So highlights for us, you know, following on from Grenades, is sort of like when we knew that we could pay more than the living wage.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we stick to that. The different things that we did for maternity. So the maternity and paternity cover is much longer. So it gives you a chance to, you know, really take that time to get to know your baby. And that's the same for adoption as well. So it is all of those, those real things that make you a real person. We all have our birthdays off as well. So if your birthday falls on a weekday, you get the day off. And it's those little things, when you can do that makes everybody feel part of the family. It makes for a much warmer feeling when you come to work. You want to come to work because you're appreciated. And I think hopefully, you know, you can't guarantee everything, but hopefully when they come to work, people are feeling appreciated at LUSH.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, and I've got friends who work there, and I know that's true. And I know that shop very well, because both my daughters had their birthdays. I've had their birthdays in that shop. So, and my youngest was probably one of the last ones before lockdown, because her birthday was February, and we had it in there in February. So that's probably one of the last ones, in there. But the staff are amazing, you know, really wonderful and super helpful, and
good. Oh, that's what I mean. The mantra I've always stuck to is like, you don't sell a product just to sell a product. Listen to the customer, find out what they want, see if we've got anything that fits the bill. And if we haven't, just say, well, we haven't got anything really, I think, that's going to do the trick with what you're asking. And then let us know, and let's see what we can make. You know, we're just launching the Afro hair care range, because, you know, we knew that we had great products for curly hair, but not necessarily for Afro hair. So that range is just launching. And then, so we're trying to be aware of, you know, having a product for every need, really. Yeah. And so we're looking at what areas, that's one of our rules, have a product for every need. And we knew we didn't have products for those. So that's just launching now, and that's been like 2 years in the making.
I saw that, because you got a little video, haven't you? I saw that, and what I liked was that they said again that you haven't reacted and just rushed something out like a lot of other people. Like, you've literally taken your time and worked out exactly what people wanted, listened to them, and then delivered it.
And we have Sarah, our hairdresser, and, you know, she's an expert on Afro hair, and she's worked really hard working with the inventor, mostly Dan, I think, but working very hard with Dan to get exactly what she wanted from the product. And that's important. It's no good somebody with, you know, straight bleached hair creating a product for Afro hair. It's a nonsense, isn't it? You've got to have, you've got to make sure that there's an essence and a reality in there. It was the same with our makeup. The makeup launches at the end of the month as well. I mean, third time lucky, but this time it's sort of, again, we've taken much more attention to, you know, we already have 40 shades of foundation, but there's much more attention to the actual shading as well as packaging, and making sure that we're, you know, packaging and non-packaging is a really big issue within LUSH, because we try and be really as environmental as we can be, but obviously packaging, if not dealt with in the right way after purchase, is and can be very unenvironmental. The nice thing about the makeup is that the lipstick containers are metal, so metal is always recycled. And it doesn't have any plastic components in it, so the whole thing can be recycled. It's based on the 1950s glamour push-up, and also that the lipstick is sold as a refill. So my point when we created that, when I had this idea, was just so, like, you can buy a lipstick from us, you just peel the wax off it, put the wax in your compost bin, then put that lipstick into an old container that you've got, an old lipstick container. It'll just slot in. And then that way you're giving that lipstick container another life. You don't have to buy ours. I'm not bothered whether you buy ours or not. But the point is that if you can reuse the lipstick container, 1 billion of them every year are created. So you can imagine how many of those are in landfill, because most of the time you can't do anything with them because they're mixed components. So that's probably another interview when I go off on one about.
Now, I remember you last time talking last year, and I think I remember seeing pictures in the press down here about it. I think you'd had some boats come in from Portugal with like cork, and you're putting. I remember seeing them in the shop in Poole High Street, the packaging there.
It was a zero carbon delivery. It was incredible. They sailed over. It is a sailing boat that does deliveries, and they were delivering also olive oil to people, olives. They'd got all sorts of things, but the thing for us was the cork pots for the shampoo bars. And of course, the shampoo bar is like the best thing for reducing, and that saves 3 plastic bottles going into landfill or recycling. And of course, the thing with Britain especially is that, you know, the recycling amount of plastic is only around 8 to 12%. So
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I only found that out recently when chatting to somebody for a podcast episode, and it's like everybody thinks it's like more than 50%, don't they? You know, or higher.
No, it's really not. I mean, that's why we encourage people, please bring your pots back to us. We're going to put a new scheme in, because up until now we've always said bring 5 in and we'll give you a free face mask. And the scheme's going to come in where you don't have to wait till 5. You can, if you bring 5 in, you'll get your free face mask, but you can bring 1 in and get money off your next order. So when your basket, as it were. So we're just trying to encourage people to bring their pots back in, because we will do something with them. If you stick with your recycling at home, it may or it may not go on to another life.
And then obviously for that to have the biggest impact, you need the shops back open again for people to actually visit them. And we are doing call and collect, so you can send an order in online, and then you can collect it at the door. So, you know, most of our managers are in, and the shops are sort of manned, as it were. And so you can place your order, and then if you're in town, you can walk past and pick them up. So but we're still doing that. We're trying to offer every service possible, because it's tough on everybody, isn't it? And maybe when things are happening like this, one of the nicest things you can do is have a lovely bath. And just indeed, Well, you've probably, I mean, again, maybe you can tell me, you know, the impact that's been on the business, because you see, you know, one of the positive effects of lockdown is that people seem to be spending more time on actually looking after themselves and, you know, self-care. You know, you see a lot of that, being kind to yourself. Has that, I mean, obviously got, you know, kind of yin and yang, haven't you? On one side, you've seen, you know, retail massively hit with a national lockdown, but the other hand, you know, I've spoken to people like Grenade and Huel, who've seen, you know, huge increases in their online orders. Have things been for you, like as a business, and also personally for yourself?
Well, we have seen, I mean, because the shops have closed, mail order did pick up hugely. We've got like 400% more at the minute, so it's smashing every forecast that we dared to make. And I think surprising our bank as well. So it's sort of like every forecast that we were making, we're now doing better than that. So touch wood, that continues. So yeah, that's been lovely. I mean, Mark and Mo went through bathing every day, and they're still doing it. They take a bath at 4 o'clock every day. So Mark worked through every single product. They've used every single product. So considering we've got about 600, I think.
Wow.
They've used all of them, and then everything was evaluated. And so we lost around 200 products. When we were back online, we decided that there was at least 200 products there that actually, you know, they were all right, but they didn't have the wow or the effectiveness that we want our products to have. So, they've come out, and now we're all working on creating sort of hero products, as it were. So, you know, the other thing is like creating a product for every need. So it's sort of like, well, have we got a product for every need? And to be number one in every category. So have we got a product that's worthy of being number one in every category, and giving ourselves more time to develop those products as we go along. So taking stock has been really great. I mean, for me, I get to walk on the beach much more. In the summer months, I can manage it because it's light and I can get up early enough to do my beach cleans, get back in, shower, breakfast, and then drive for an hour to work. Now I haven't got to do that. I've been able to stretch my walks out much later into the into the winter because I haven't got that hour's journey to work in the morning. So yeah, so I'm getting to do a lot more walking and beach cleaning than I would normally do.
You're gaining time, but that's a lot. So that's nearly a third of your products, would you say, that you've?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the feedback been from customers?
Well, there's always some favorite, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That was my favorite.
I know, and that's always great. But we have things like kitchen boxes and they are, it's I don't know, you sign up to it and then every month you get a box. It has usually 4 to 5 products in it, and sometimes one of those old products that people loved and have written to us a lot about, because sometimes a product can just be not so high in sales maybe because it lasts a lot longer. And they'll come into the boxes. So we're just trying to do lots of things to make it more exciting for people. So it's not just, same old. So there's Snow Fairy boxes at the moment. So Snow Fairy's back out. That's why I've got pink hair. Snow Fairy. Our Christmas shower gel, but she's here in a shampoo bar, bubble bar, shower gel, wand. I mean, just lip scrub, glow sticks, anything, because she's just so popular, and she now has her own microsite. So there's going to be Snow Fairy gifts coming out and merch, and so I mean, we're having more fun with things rather than just thinking along the line. So we're listening to what the customer wants. They want more fun. They want more Snow Fairy. So we're building those things up and having more fun online, because people are looking, when you're stuck in and you're not going out, you're doing a lot more online potentially. So we're trying to make online much more interesting. So if you went to YouTube, there's lots of buying videos where you can see how we buy our raw materials, because I think that's probably quite unusual for most companies. I think most people, in the cosmetic industry anyway, are buying from distributors because you can get all your raw mats from there. Whereas we're actually going to countries, we're building relationships, friendships with growers, with farmers, with producers, and then bringing those raw materials home. So we know that we're paying a fair price, most often more than they would get if they're selling into a distributor, because obviously they're able to make their markup. So quite often it works like we're getting a better price and they're getting a better price. So that's a lovely win-win. And then we know the quality of our raw material that's then going into a product. So the customer gets a win-win because we know that we're, the quality that we're using. So there's a lot of those stories online. So we've upped all of those and put them, because we had a lot sort of sitting there which probably hadn't been seen. So, if you're bored and you want to travel, that's the way to travel. You go in and you have a look at the aloe story or the cocoa butter story or the shea butter. So you can travel around Africa, around the Amazon, Lebanon, all sorts of places, and go and see where the raw materials come from and meet the people who are growing them for us and creating those beautiful ingredients.
Have you missed travel yourself? Did you? Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you. And then I've got 2 trips that I've put forward to next year. And then I had the letter on Saturday telling me that the company had gone under. And, it's sort of like, I can't be upset or cross with them. We lost cosmetics to go, and we know how hard we fought to do that. And so I sent a message in, and I know that one of the guys that I normally deal with, Steve, was furloughed, and then another lady, Liz, who was in South Africa. So I just sent them a message with the hope that they might pick up something and just wish them well. And I actually got an email back from the owner of the business.
Ah, did you? Yeah.
So that was really nice, and could just say to him, like, it's happened to us before, but you can rebuild it if the passion and the will is still there, and then learn from the mistakes and then move forward. Because I don't know if anybody read the article in the Sunday Times from Trailfinders, but that was amazing. That the guy there reckons he can go on for the next 2 years without travel, and the business will still survive. So we found a way of working where hand to mouth with the cash.
And how's when you mentioned like some of those decisions that you've made as a business, how has the decision making changed given that you're not all meeting together? Was that easy to do? Has that kind of morphed into the new way of doing things for you guys?
It is a new way of doing it. So we have what we call leadership meetings, and extra people come in from our group countries and partner countries, but there's usually around 30 people in on that meeting. Not everybody gets to talk. There is the same old voices, but we're all there and we're listening, and we know then the direction of the business, and that has been invaluable. We started that at the beginning of April, and at first we were doing it 5 days a week because you just did not know from 1 minute to the next what was going to happen. Well, how long was lockdown going to be, and what did we need to prepare for, and everything. So, and looking at the finances, of course, that had to be looked at every single day. It's sort of like, what's happening? How are you going to survive, really? So for the first couple of months, we were doing 5 days. Then we went, 4 days. And then we went to every other week. So 4 days every other week. Now, now we've gone back to 2 days every week. So we changed the meetings because they're exhausting. We changed the meetings, one, so that we've got our energy, and two, so that we know that we've got enough grasp of the situation and enough meetings to make decisions that need to be made. So you've got to be adaptable and you've got to be flexible. Because when we closed down in April, or the end of March, beginning of April, everybody thought it was for a month, didn't they?
Yeah.
Nobody thought it was going to go on. I mean, I rebooked my March holiday for August because I figured, God, it'll be all done by then.
Yeah, we pushed back our events to the autumn. Yeah, I know.
August has now gone to next March, and in actual fact, the company's gone, so I'm not even sure if we're doing that one. So, you just can't tell. So meetings are really important, that communication and sharing your worries. So for anybody starting up their own business, for goodness sake, have really good team around you of people you can share your worries with. Because the worst thing is feeling it's all on you, because then you don't make the best decisions under pressure. So if you can share those worries and then have somebody challenge your thinking, and then you discuss it over and over. I mean, it does get monotonous, and you do think, crikey, we're going to have to go this over again and again. But the more you go over something, the more you say it, the more ideas formulate in your head, so that the decision you end up making is the right decision in the end. And they're not always easy decisions. We have had to lose people. We've had to make people redundant. And that has been the most awful part of this. It's uncomfortable in lots of different areas. But the worst bit is having to lose people that we've worked with for so long. But we've had to do it. And in actual fact, from taking that really tough step, we're actually much more cash positive at this time this year than we were last year, even though we had lower sales. So it was a tough lesson to learn.
But like you say, you had to do it. Literally looked at the bottom line and seen where you could trim.
Well, when you look at it and you see that your staff costs are 45%, you know that that's an area that can be sorted out. Yeah, and you had to, and you did it, and business is in a better position. It is. We're actually stronger now, which seems odd, doesn't it? But we're actually stronger now than we were this time last year.
And how do you got a ridiculous number of questions coming through for you, which I will have a quick look at in a minute. So appreciate people posting questions in and taking the time out of their day to join us live here. So given all of that, when you now look at us recording this in the middle of a second lockdown in the UK, and you're seeing other countries, I saw Austria at the weekend going into another lockdown as well. How do you forecast for like Christmas and New Year at this stage, when you've got like that many retail shops that
with everything crossed?
With everything crossed, yeah.
You do. I mean, we just thought, okay, you could think, right, pandemic, things closing down, don't make as much, don't forecast for so much, or you can think, screw it, just do it.
Right.
And plan for the same year as you had last year, thinking that people are going to be desperate to have some kind of Christmas, and just think, you know what, we don't want to let anybody down, so we're going to make it, and we're going to be here, and we're going to try and get it to you in whatever way we can, and that's what we've done. So we've basically forecasted for the same sales as last year, with the hope that we can make everything that people want.
No,
It's a lot of, it does take balls, because it you know, your natural instinct is to just think, ooh, hold back, but you can't. You've got to just go, do you know what, this could be your opportunity. And so many companies now, because they're importing things, they've got so much less on their shelves. They can't get it because stuff is stuck in customs somewhere. I mean, we get things stuck in customs. So you just think, one of the things that we noticed going back out into the stores after the first lockdown was how little there was in some shops, where things just aren't coming through at the moment.
Right.
So, you know, it was like, well, if you can't get what you would normally get, maybe you can get something from Lush. So, you know, it almost sounds as though, it sounds awful the way I'm going to say it, but it is sort of like you've got to capitalize on what else isn't available somewhere else. But that's business, isn't it? And the thing is, though, although that might sound a bit, I don't know what that might sound like, but if you do sort of think, well, at least there's Lush and at least we're selling stuff, then, you know, when you buy from us, we're buying from those farmers and the producers in the countries where, you know, the purchase to them makes a huge amount of difference. You know, to us, it's just like, have I got another shower gel or a shampoo or da-da-da? For them, it's like, can I eat? Can I go to school? It's much more real to them. So for us to be able to make something out of the fact that there's nothing much in anybody else's shops is going to benefit many more people along the way.
Yeah, and have you changed how you market the business? Because I know, you know, just personally, you know, walking down, for example, Bournemouth and seeing the difference, you know, before lockdown in your shop compared to a lot of other shops, in that there's an element of theatre to it, you know, entice people in, and there seems like more staff in the shops who actually interact and engage with the customers, and that is a whole part of the buying process, you know, tapping into their knowledge. Have you changed how you market the business? And also thinking of social media. Remember last year there was, you know, a big announcement with regards to your social media accounts, and seeing a little bit online there in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, interested to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we have changed. So there are less people on the shop floor, because you've got to make room for customers, and customers, you know, whereas before they wanted that interaction, they love to have a hand rub, or they want to see different, you know, whatever. You can't do that now. So you've got to have less people on the floor, and you know, less sort of, not really less interaction, but interacting in a different way. So we're still there with all our information if anybody wants to ask anything, but there's less of us. So you don't feel like, oh, I'm just bouncing from one staff member to another. Yeah, we did go back on social media, and but under our own terms, I suppose. I don't know. You know, it was always an experiment coming off. And did it make too much of a difference? I mean, I think we dropped about 6%. So, you know, yeah, a fair amount. But customers wanted us to be there. They want to hear from us, and they want to see things, and they want to be entertained. So it was like, well, you know, you've got to go back on. You can get all high and mighty about Zuckerberg and, you know, taxes,
and the algorithms, and
I mean, you really can. You can just play them at their own game and just think, well, we're not going to buy any, we're not going to pay you to do that, and, you know, let you make money out of us. But if you want to put a platform up there, then we'll join it, because that's what our customers are asking us to do. So, and we are, you know, really, however it sounds, we are all about the customer, and, you know, so we were asked to go back on. So yes, did we have to eat humble pie a bit? Yeah, but actually I'm really pleased.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Well, I thought you kind of doing it on your own terms, like you say, because you're using like the hashtags more and saying this is where the conversations are taking place online, and not being a slave to posting every day about, you know, that hamster wheel.
Yeah. And people were missing the conversations, and so were we. You know, it's sort of like there's nothing worse when you can't have a conversation or communication with your customer, because how do you get direction? It's all about, you know, anybody starting up the business, listen to your customers, because they're the ones that are going to tell you what they want from you and how they want it. And the customer is always right. So, you know, be wherever you can to listen to them. Yeah.
And talking about a little bit more about marketing, have you looked at or embraced influencer marketing and collaborations, that kind of thing?
We looked at collabs. We haven't actually plucked up the courage to do any yet. So, but we have looked at them. And so they're not out of the question. It's just working out how it works with us. And what was the other bit?
Yeah, I've got a question in from founder of Braids Gang, who says, if another brand or business influencer wanted to collaborate with LUSH, how would we go about doing that, or who should we get in contact with? So it is a good question, and we're on talking about moving on to that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yes, who should you contact? I don't know if I'm supposed to give anybody's sort of
support at LUSH.
Probably. Or maybe they can send it to you, and then I can give it to the right people at this end. I don't know what all the correct thing to do about that is, but probably sitting here giving somebody's email address over a podcast is probably not what I'm supposed to do. But by all means, you know, if they can give that to you and you can pass that forward to me, I can put them in touch with somebody. But bear in mind, we will put you through every whenever we buy anything from somebody or we're using somebody, we have a very strict policy. We need to know all the tiers through as to where you're getting your thing from, your ethics behind your business, what you're involved in, and whether that actually aligns with us. So, yeah, we're not the easiest people to do business with. Is what
I like it. This is a good question as well that's come in from Jordan, co-owner of Buzzy Beautiful Wraps. When starting an eco-friendly solutions-based brand, would you start small with a small range of items, or work towards bringing out a bigger collection at one time?
Oh, I'd start small. Start small. See what people are enjoying. Again, you're listening to your customer, and then add to it. I mean, that would be my way of doing it. That way you're growing organically and you're not throwing all your money at something and then finding that 3 things didn't work, and then that's cost you a lot of money, and then you haven't got that money to put into the other business that you're already starting to struggle. So I would come out small and affordable, see what the feedback is, listen to the customer, find out what they're wanting, what they're enjoying. It's surprising, you know, you can have something which you think is actually the best idea you've ever had, and everybody just goes, and it's like, really? But I thought this was really excellent. So, yeah, small and grow it. Organic.
It's often the way, isn't it? Yeah, trying to getting feedback and actually, you know, building a community of people and actually find out what they want for your next products.
Yeah, because the other thing you can do, of course, is take investment. But then you've got an investor in your business who probably wants, you know, they'll want shares of some form or another. And then as your business grows, my advice to you is if they're not part of your team and they're not really giving you anything back in other than the original investment they gave you, buy them out as soon as you can. Because as your business gets bigger and bigger and bigger, they get more and more expensive to buy out. And as you get bigger, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have more money in the bank, because you have many more expenses. So if you know, we bought our investor out really quite early on, and that it made a huge difference, because then you're in charge of your business. And then, but you know, if you were Anita Roddick and Body Shop, she didn't, and that's fine. But when Anita sold the business, he walked off with a shed load of money, and he never did anything other than give her a few thousand at the beginning.
That's so right.
I would learn from that and say, you know, if you're going to take an investment, then get rid of them as early in the nicest possible way, but make it the best deal they've ever had, and then move on and have the business to yourself.
And is that with Lush, when you took that initial investment and you paid it off, you've never taken investment since?
No.
I didn't know that.
So obviously you have your bank loan, but even then, I mean, ours is so modest. So it's 35 million. I think I'm probably allowed to say that. So when you look at other businesses, they take a billion, millions, bonds, all sorts of things. So we've never really gone down the line of having lots of investment in there or debt within the business. We always try and keep it very much. But then the way that we have our business, so we have the shareholders, we get a dividend, but most of the money coming back in goes into the business. We're not making all the profit and then sharing it between us. We're investing it back in to the business, and that's how we've always worked. But some of our partners run it in quite a different way. Where the money comes back out and it goes to them. So, and it's however you want to do it, but that's how we've run it, and it's worked well for us because it means that we don't have big bank borrowings or cosmetics to go. We lost because of the bank. The bank pulled in on us, so we could never build back out again. So the less dependency you have on a bank, the stronger you are when something like this happens.
And Paul here from Maton Media says you spoke about taking your time and about organic growth. Was that a planned decision? And I'll probably add to that again with, say, 6 of you having an active voice and then partners, etc. Has that always been the way? Have you planned that? Have you had different voices throughout that journey in the sort of 25 years?
I don't think we've planned it. We always listen to different voices. I think it is just we did what we could cope with. And that was that. That was it, because we don't want to. We're quite happy to pull people into our group. We always have, because the more communication you have, the better. But I think it is just the way it's gone. We didn't sort of, we've done what we could afford. We've stretched ourselves always a little bit. I mean, Oxford Street was a big stretch and a risk, because you're putting all this money in, and will it work? Does anybody want to come into 3 floors of Lush and on Oxford Street? But it's sort of, it's just organic. It wasn't if we'd stuck to our first plan, that was just to have shops within the M25. So we can make a plan, but then we can go completely off plan. So we were going to just have shops within the M25, and that would have done us. But then we had people from Croatia coming in, people from Canada coming in, going, we want to take it to our country. And it's like, well, you have to understand, we don't know anything. We're really just learning about retail ourselves. So you're going to have to know about your country and about doing things there. And so slowly, one country came on, then another country, and it sort of slowly built like that. But we used partners to grow the business at the beginning. So they took all the risk, as it were, in their country, and we supplied them the product which they loved and they thought they could sell, and they have done. So it worked as a win-win.
What a different story it would be if it stuck to the M25, eh?
I know,
right? Amazing. And if you, interesting question, given the landscape today, if you were to start a business today, I've just lost Rowena's connection. She's back on. There we go. The beauties of streaming. If you started again today, in your industry, for example, in the cosmetics industry, in the beauty industry, would you just look at an online model, or would you also look at an in-store model as well?
In the beauty industry, I think retail has an important place. I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? I think you have to have both for us, but then that's because I'm more of a retailer than I am online person. But I think, if you could only have one or the other, you'd probably go for the internet now, because, it's hard for people to find you on the internet.
especially like you say with social media and having to pay to play, and you just see LinkedIn being very much like that at the moment, going the same way as Facebook and Instagram, that you literally, otherwise 3% of the people who actually like you online get to see what you're posting about.
Exactly. And I mean, your overheads are lower. So, you know, that's a great point. And you don't have to be open 9 to 5. You're open all the time. So there's plus and minuses. But for us, I mean, if you look at a country, then our retail sales are higher than our online sales. But the online sales support retail beautifully when there's a lockdown. And they support anyway, because people find us on the high street or in the shopping mall, and then maybe they'll go and look for us online and see all the things that they didn't see, or they'll find us online through a story or YouTube or something, and then they'll walk down the high street and see the shop and think, oh, that's that shop I was reading about, and they'll come in. So I you know, for me, hand in hand is really important, but I can see why people start their businesses just online
now. And a question from Scott Stockdale: what do you think is the best way for consumers to encourage companies to be more environmentally friendly if they currently don't seem to be? And I've got a couple of questions around the same thing, but that's the one that kind of frames it the best, I think.
Write to them and let them know that, you know, you'd really like to buy their product, but. So, you know, New Forest ice cream got several letters from me this year.
Ah, did they now?
Plastic push-ups in an ice cream. What's that all about, really? I wasn't quite on the beach. But, you know, write to them and let them know, because that's how companies know that their customers want change. And then you make a decision, because it has to come down to your decision on what you deem is important. And so, you know, we'll have people that won't buy bottled shampoo because they know that the recycling industry is not all that. So they'll always buy a shampoo bar, and they make that decision. And I think it has to, and it's up to us as customers and consumers to make decisions, to make change as well. If we continue to buy all that cheap, nasty plastic junk from China, then people are going to still make it. And never think that you're on your own by not doing those things as well, because the more people that say, do you know what, I'm not buying any more of that, I'm not going to support this, I'm not going to support that, you know, you're one, but another one makes two, another one, you know, there's a million just ones. You can't see all the others, but it makes an effect. So, you know, don't feel that you're doing anything on your own. If you've decided you don't want it, then other people will also have decided that. The courage is to just go, do you know what? I don't want it. I can live without it, and I will live without it. And then write to them, let them know, and then move on.
That's a great answer. Very good answer. Thank you. And I know you're, you know, really passionate about a number of things, including like conservation, sustainability. If you could change one thing, what would it be? That
people brought all their plastic packaging back into us, so that we can do something with it. You know, everything else I think is really lovely. I mean, you know, we've made the solid stuff against the packaged stuff. Beautiful product. And people like the one in a pot. And for many instances, the one in the pot is actually, you know, it's more practical maybe, or whatever. So it's like, please take responsibility and bring it back, so that you give the responsibility back to us. You know, the message which I'd like to say to people is like, I'm renting you the pot, bring it back in when you're finished with it. You know, we're going to look at a refill system where a company will clean them for us to the extent that they need to be cleaned. But it's sort of, it does rely on people doing the right thing and bringing them back in. And at least we're going, well, look, we've always taken them back. We've taken them back for years, but people don't use that. So as consumers, it's up to us to be conscious of what we're doing. So the biggest thing I'd like is for people to please bring our packaging back into us.
Nice. Very good. Like that one. And do you think corporate social responsibility policy is essential for all businesses in this day and age, says Tony. Yes. So it's a easy answer to give. Yeah,
think about it, put in what you can do, and continually work on it, because we can all improve. I think it is really important, and I think that consumers are wanting to know more and more about it. I mean, we have our channel, we are lush.com. And on there, you can read all our policies of the different things we have. Are they perfect? Are we perfect? No. But are we working towards making it better every year that we post up? Absolutely, we are. Yes.
Yeah. And leading on to that, given that you've just celebrated 25 years and you have these policies in place, you've been doing it for a long time, whereas some people are only just making those changes. Do you think about things like legacy already, and what you kind of like how you like to leave things
Absolutely
behind?
We do, because we're all getting older now as founders, and one day I'd like to retire and travel the world, which is not very environmental, but anyway, I've got an electric car now, so I'm trying to balance things out a bit, and with the CSR thing, it doesn't matter when you start. It's never too late to start anything, would always be my message. It's always like, it's better to start than never start, and just go if only. But we started this 3 years ago, which is the EBT, which is the Employment Benefit Trust, where we donated shares from the shareholders. We donated shares, and our staff now have 10%. Share ownership.
Yes, I remember that.
The shares, when I leave, will go straight into there, because I don't have family that are working in the business to leave it to. So my shares will go to the staff, because I think it's so important that one of the things that upset us most about Body Shop selling was that she sold to L'Oreal, and the people who are renowned for their animal testing, and the people that worked in Body Shop were so upset. Not all of them, I suppose, but we heard from so many people upset. They felt like they'd been sold down the river. Somebody who was completely opposite views to them, and why they worked at Body Shop. And they worked at Body Shop because they loved all the the ethics and everything. And then she did this. Anita, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but it is, and that taught us a lesson of like, we never ever want whoever succeeds from us within the next generation that we're bringing up, they cannot do that to everybody that's worked with us for years because of our ethics. The ethics to always stay the same. So if ever there was a policy change to test on animals now, they can all go, no, we're definitely not. That's not why we work here, and it can put a halt to it. So there can't be, we can't be sold out. The company can't be sold out. And that, to us, that's our legacy, is like, we want to leave this company to you, for you, when we're not here, that it can still continue to go on in strength.
I've got an interesting chat afterwards, actually, with Anthony Fletcher, who was a CEO of Grays when sold to Unilever back earlier this year. So that would be an interesting conversation. So finishing up any minute now. So I've got a couple of questions. Bernadette asks a really good question from Inside Out Drinks, who says, do you think you would have set up initially and made the journey that you've been on if you'd have been on your own?
No, it's all about the team. Honestly, I can't tell you enough. When the six of us got together, each one of us has got a complete different set of skills. And when you put all those skills together, it makes a company. Obviously we have Mark Constantine, and he is the big main boss, and he's the one with the ideas and the vision, but he couldn't do it on his own. He created the team around him, and we all work together to make those visions come true. So you do need the big brain, the one with the big passion, and then you find lots of passionate people with you with different skills, people that have got skills that are better than you. In the teams I run, I always have people that work in there that have got better skills than I have, because then they just make it shine and I get all the glory. It's great.
No, that is one thing that take from my old boss, Richard Branson, who I worked for yeah, probably nearly 25 years before. But whatever new business he was starting, he would just seem to pluck somebody who was doing incredibly well at another company, but also incentivize them, you know, by, like you're saying, you're giving your staff shares. You would do exactly the same with them, and they would usually stay quite a long time in the business as well.
But you've got to love the work. If you know, otherwise, why would you waste, you know, so much of your time, of your life, working for people that you don't like, or doing something that you don't want to do? It's all about the passion. You've got to have the passion for what you're doing, and then you've got to have a team that make it worthwhile, and then it just all flows. Doesn't make it easy, but it makes it easy, because you're passionate about what you're doing.
I think that was a really good point you made earlier, actually, about, you know, being able to speak to someone. And I think of so many people who are going to be watching this and then listening to this at a later date who are actually on their own. And it's just like, you know, even if it's not somebody necessarily in your business, even if you don't employ someone, it's so key to actually speak to somebody who can actually give you some kind of an opinion on. And
I think that actually, you know what, you can always write to people and say, you know, I really admire what you do. Can I have a chat with you? And most people will go yes, because they want to share with you, because they want other people to succeed. Why not? Why don't we want everyone to succeed?
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree with you. And look, just to finish up, then we're coming up to the hour mark, and I know you've got a lot on your plate. Alex. I've literally gone like that. I know. I've literally got pages left of my own questions. Literally gone like that. I know. I've literally got a couple of minutes left. Insane. Yeah. So, what are you most excited about? I mean, so many people seem in a rush to finish this year and start 2021. You've got so many things going on by the sound of it, but what are you most excited about yourself personally or business wise when you're looking ahead to next
being
year?
able to travel again. I really understand. I can't help it. I am the one of the six of us that just loves to travel. So yeah, on a personal level, I really want to travel again. And for the business, we're just looking forward to settling into the new normal, and then moving forward and making everybody feel safe again. Because I think, you know, lots of people probably are still sort of thinking, shit, if it goes on for much longer, are we going to have another wave of people talking to us and maybe having to lose people? So I'm looking forward to it settling in and everybody to settle down and feel safe and secure again, and then moving forward.
Wonderful. And I'll just finish with the words of Paola, who's watched many of the webinars that I've hosted since March, who says, I cannot put into words how much I love listening to Rowena today. Such a great, inspiring business story. Her values and commitment to making a difference. Also with regards to having a zero impact on nature and recycling plastic. Onward and upward, Rowena.
Thank you.
Loads of thank yous coming in. So look, I really appreciate your time, really do. It means a lot to do that. So thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing.
And you, without you doing that, then it doesn't help other people sort of getting information and ideas to starting, and it gives the leg up, isn't it? It's that little footy up.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is, you know, amplifying these kind of messages to those starting out or those in the early stages who are finding it tough going and probably never thought when they started a business in the last 12 months that they would have to face so many hurdles in 1 year. It is
all consuming, but if you've got the passion for what you're doing, somehow you get through it. Yeah.
100%. You clearly have, all of you. And thank you again, Rowena, for your time today. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Bye now. Thank you, everybody. We've got next session is going to be up at 2 o'clock. I've got Anthony Fletcher from Grays. Please join me then.
Bye.